Good morning and welcome to Wray Castle in the Lake District. Down there you've got the biggest lake in England, Lake Windermere, which stretches for 10.5 miles. And here is Wray Castle, which isn't a real castle, it's a folly. This castle's never had to defend itself from anything, apart from the harsh northern weather. So yeah, let's have a little wander around the castle and chat about its history. So I've been coming to the Lake District my entire life. I spent most of my summer holidays as a kid camping down on the lakeshore down there at a campsite. And then we also spent a lot of time in a guest house called the Dower House, which is just around the corner there, which is in fact where the original owner of this castle lived. So there was a Dr. James Dawson, who was a surgeon from Liverpool, who retired up here to the Lake District into the Dower House. But once when there was a really bad storm and a load of slate was blown off the roof, he decided, I'm going to build something that can stand the weather up here. And so he built Wray Castle. This is what he built. This is his attempt to survive the harsh weather up here. So work started on this castle in 1840 and it took 7 years to complete. Now the money that was used to build this came from Dr. Dawson's wife, whose family, their fortune had come from the sale of gin. So this castle was built off the profits of booze, which is pretty interesting. There's also a load of ace trees around this castle as well, so we'll check them out. Some of my favourite trees ever. This, however, here is the crest of the family, the Dawson family crest. So from the diary of a future tenant as well, it says this. They say it took £60,000 to build, probably including furniture. The stone was brought across the lake. One old horse dragged it all up to the house on a kind of tramway. The architect, Mr. Lightfoot, killed himself with drinking before the house was finished. So it was the profits of gin that was used to build this house. It was also booze that killed the guy that designed it. And I wonder if it was gin, I wonder if he was getting a special discount on gin at the time. The castle was even built with some fake ruins. Now I don't know where exactly they are, but they were added on to give it that real castle feel to it. Oh, but it's buzzing, honestly. I love coming to this place. Me and my brother, when we were younger, we were just staying in that cottage around the corner or down on the campsite. And there was never anyone here. It was always pretty empty. I'll get into the history of what happened with it around that time. But it was always empty. So imagine finding an empty castle when you were a little kid and just being able to explore it. And there's a good track going all the way around it. So me and my brother used to razz our bikes around. Oh, it was so buzzing. So amazing. And it felt even bigger back then. I mean, it's still big, but when you're a kid, this castle was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. So sweet. That's a sure sign of a fake castle. Instead of defending itself from armies, it's got Amazon parcels outside. Back in the day, that was how you could tell if it was a fake castle. Amazon parcels. So it opens at 10 as well, so we'll be able to go in and have a look around inside. But let's just keep wandering around until it does open. I saw a little turret you could walk up as well. Actually, maybe see if we can get up that turret. I was hoping you might be able to go a bit further up here. But it's pretty cool, part of the turret anyway. So the castle now has a little coffee shop. Didn't have any of that fancy stuff when I was a kid playing around it. And £4 nearly for a coffee. I might have to storm it myself and bring some instant Nescafe. Can't be doing that. Ooh, it's coffee, jeez. So the Dawsons only lived at this castle together for 15 years. And then after both of their deaths, a 24-year-old heir, I think he was like a cousin or something from London, just inherited it. Inherited the whole of the castle and the 800 acres that come with that. Imagine that. At 24, just getting, oh, you got this. Jeez, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Remember at 24, what was I living in? Oh my God, some awful little flat in London probably. Wow, I'd have taken this any day. Yeah, so that new heir that inherited the castle, he brought with him his cousin, a Hardwick Rawnsley, who became the vicar of Wray Castle. He also later on in life went on to become the chaplain to King George V and was also one of the 3 founding members of the National Trust. So that's really cool, how much significance this plays in the creation of the National Trust, which is obviously massive up in the Lake District and all around the country really, in preserving these sites of natural beauty. And I feel like you can't be around here without sort of appreciating it. The landscape around here is absolutely insane. Just the lake down there, the lake kind of on three sides of you, and then in the distance you've got the mountains on that side. Oh, it's ace. So yeah, you can see why this place would inspire you to create something like the National Trust. You got a little outhouse here as well. Even your little outhouse has got a turret on it, look at that. Oh, it's great. I'd live in that, to be fair, if that were going. It's empty. Shocking. Using that as a storage room, I'd happily live there. And look at this. This looks like one of the little ruined things, maybe. The little ruined turrets. So in 1882, a family came and took over the place for about 4 months. And their 15-year-old daughter was really inspired by the castle itself and the grounds surrounding it. And that girl went on to write Peter Rabbit. She was a world famous writer, children's writer, and it was Beatrix Potter. Now before I said there was a journal which had a lot of information about the history of the house, and that was Beatrix Potter's journal, her diary, which gave a lot of information. But yeah, she lived here for 4 months. She never bought the castle, but she owned houses around it and a lot of land around it. So this had massive influence on her writing style and the creation of her characters, which is awesome. So Beatrix Potter as well was a real important figure in the National Trust in promoting it and all its values, again, from just being around here and that inspiring landscape, just making you want to preserve it so much, as it would. So the castle was then sold and passed through inheritance. Many hands had it for quite a while. In fact, one of the owners, who was dealing with a bit of mortgage trouble, apparently, on the castle, moved back into the Dower House, the original house where the original owner had built, and he just preferred living there than actually inside the castle. So then the castle was eventually donated to the National Trust, and its first use was a youth hostel for a couple of years, I think, not long, and then it was part of the Freshwater Biological Association, which I'm guessing were doing research down by the lake. But then it did just stand empty for a long, long time, just no use at this castle at all, until 1958. Right, so it's open now, the castle, I think. No entry to the upper floors, unfortunately. It's probably where they're keeping all the cheap coffee. Yeah, so all the furnishings are gone, all the pictures, just the room standing empty really. I guess that's what happened when it was sold on so many times, and too many different uses as well. It's kind of pretty bare. So yeah, there was the inside of it. What did you think? It was alright, it's pretty bare. I think it's nicer to look at from the outside, to be honest. But yeah, I also like them pictures of them guys with mutton chops. How about that? The mullet came back. I'm thinking maybe try and bring the mutton chops back. Might take a while, but it's a strong look. So yeah, then after standing empty for ages, in 1958 it became a merchant navy training college for radio officers, with up to 150 cadets living here and studying here, and they were studying the safety of life at sea. So obviously you've got the lake down there, the massive lake where you can do loads of training, so it's the perfect location. A load of rooms as well, and them rooms we've just been in were probably once filled with bunk beds, loads of cadets sleeping in here. That was a crazy time for the place. However, that position of a radio officer just became redundant when all ships at sea got fitted with a global maritime distress and safety system. So that's described as an automated emergency signal communication device for ships at sea. So all them ships got that, and that position of radio officer just disappeared. So then this place kind of lost its purpose for that as well. It was kept on for some kinds of training until about 2004, I think, but then yeah, after that again left empty for a bit. So yeah, after that purpose of the training was gone from the place, it was left empty again, left really quiet. until around the 2010s, when I think it was proposed it was going to be a hotel, and then that fell through, and then they opened it up for the public in about 2014, and then since then the cafe's opened and you can go inside. But yeah, all my memories of it as a kid are just completely quiet, no one here, not being used. It was so strange. But now, yeah, you can go inside and have a look around. The rooms are pretty empty, you can't go upstairs. That'd be quite cool to go upstairs, which is a shame. So there we go, a nice little explore of the fake Wray Castle, which never had to defend itself. But more impressive than that, that's cool, but this is more impressive. Check out these great redwoods. Look at this. These trees are so thick and so spongy as well to feel. It's so strange. But yeah, I wonder how tall these are. When we get the drone out, I'm sure we'll be able to get some ace shots of how tall these are. Let's go have a look at some of the other trees. So that nice monkey puzzle tree over there, that's 28 years old, that, and I'm 30. And I've been coming to Wray Castle since I was 1, so I've probably seen it in every stage of its life. And there's another tree around here somewhere, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know which one it is. The woman just pointed and said, this tree over here was potentially planted by William Wordsworth. But I actually don't know which one it is. So just pick one of these trees. Oh, that one. Apparently it's that one there. So that tree might have been planted by William Wordsworth. So yeah, if you're ever in the Lake District, it's definitely worth coming to check out this Wray Castle. Mainly from the outside, I reckon. The trees all around it are mega. It does look ace to look at. The lake's nearby. I feel like on the inside you could do maybe just a little bit more. Like, there's only so many rooms you can walk into where there's nothing at all in there and you can go, well, this is nice. But visually from the outside, absolutely stunning to look at. It would be really fun if you could just explore it on the inside a little bit more. But yeah, Wray Castle in the Lake District. Ambleside's not too far away. Do you know what I mean though? Inheriting that at 24 now. Think of the energy bills.